So guys, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. I'm really excited to talk to Linda. Linda knows I've been hounding her, asking her to speak at my event. And just so you know, Linda, my whole career is based on disproving the lie. I think most horse people, there's a common belief that there's no financial opportunity in the horse world for a horse trainer, for a riding instructor. You have to do it because you love it. There's absolutely no money in it. And the only way to make a million is to start with 2 million. And I I just don't believe that's true. And so I help horse professionals find financial opportunity. And Linda, you've built the biggest brand in the horse training riding instructor space. I don't know if if that's even disputed, or maybe, it's definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest brand, the Pirelli brand, probably in terms of revenue, probably in terms of impact. And so I'd love to hear your story today, but through the lens of the business lessons you've made or you've learned, the business decisions you've learned along the way, how you were able to scale and productize what you guys do, and how you look at it that way. One of the questions my head of client success wanted me to start with was, did you set out to build such a massive brand when you got started, or did it just kind of organically happen that way?
It was a little bit of both because I met Pat in 1989. And then in 93, I came over to the US because he said, come and help me change the world. And I went, okay. I had no idea what that meant. And probably if I had known, I would never have done it because it was really hard. But when you're passionate and you're driving like crazy, you don't think about what's hard. It's only when you look back. And, we'll talk about this later, I'm sure. But then when I split from Pat, I just went, I don't want to build another empire, knowing what it would take. And the times are different now anyway. But it was just, passion and something important to share and something that was not widely known. There are still people who are naturally very good with horses, but they don't know how to teach other people how to do what they do. And so at that time, it was Pat's uh, IP, but I'm the teacher. And so I was the one that then made it work for every man and his horse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who are really good with horses and they don't know what's wrong with us when we aren't. It's like, what's wrong with you? You just do this. It's like, well, that's actually one of 100 things you don't even know you did. So my background in teaching and my passion for that is why the co-creation of that brand was so powerful.
Yeah. How big was that brand at the peak of you guys running it?
Are you talking revenue or
Yeah, revenue,
revenue? I think we peaked at 25 mil.
25 mil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's incredible. And that's kind of a data point, I think, that I'd like to highlight, because I think before you guys did that, there's a lot of people that says, like, no, it's impossible for a horse trainer to generate 25 million in revenue. And so what was the lessons learned? Like, how were you guys able to sort of take your skill set? Because like you said, there's a lot of people that are great with horses, right? Out there. But what's the difference? Why did you guys make it so big compared to your average horse trainer that is nowhere near that size?
I'd say it's because we led a movement. We started a movement. It was way more than teaching and training. It really spoke to people who were looking for something new. And, the recreational market had no leader. And I'm talking about this in hindsight because when we did it, we weren't even thinking about that. But, there was no leader in the recreational market. And in the competitive market, there were all the icons that, people followed and whoever was the latest winner. And, it was pretty easy to see how that went and big sponsorships. But we were like nobody, but we had a very powerful message. And so, because most of the recreational riders are women, they connected very strongly to the message of natural horsemanship and, to train horses without force. And also because they could identify with me. And I played the role of a student and teacher because I was a student of Pat, for many years, obviously. But then I was also sharing my journey and using then my teaching expertise to share what I knew in a productive way and to create a curriculum because nothing like that existed. It was just, well, in those days it was Ray Hunt and Tom Dorrance and a few other guys, that people just would go and stare at, but had loved the philosophy, but had no idea what to do. And they couldn't identify with them because they were very accomplished men, and so women just couldn't identify with anybody. So we really had, it was the right time, the right place, the right message, the right two people sharing that message. And then we had a CEO that gave us a huge leg up, really empowered us and helped us to take risks. And he basically said, I'll run the business and you two be who you need to be. And so for sure, that was a big part of the success. And then my sister also is a graphic artist, and we worked together and created a lot of the marketing messages early in the piece.
Yeah.
It was a kind of just, right time, right place. And also, when I said we led a movement or founded a movement, we created natural horsemanship. Like that didn't exist. People just, did recreational riding and trail riding and had horses for fun. But there was not something called natural horsemanship. And we especially did that because we wanted to name a movement rather than call it the Pirelli method, even though, that's how people would talk about it. So we had Pirelli Natural Horsemanship. Um, and at that time, there was no YouTube.
Yeah.
And there was nobody else in the natural horsemanship market except, the people like Ray Hunt, etc. So nobody was really taking care of the recreational market
Right.
like we were and what we attracted. So, like I said, right time, right place. And, these days, natural horsemanship has become an industry sector. I mean, obviously many years ago, and it is full of instructors and professionals. It created a whole new market for
Yeah.
like that. And of course, it became a discipline which we didn't expect. I remember one night we were sitting with Karen and David O'Connor. I'm sure you know who they are, and we were having dinner and we were talking about the industry, and he said, well, natural horsemanship is now a silo. He called them silos. He said there's the jumping silo, dressage, there's reining and cutting and eventing. And he said, and natural horsemanship. And we went, no, 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 we're the foundation for those things because it's about horse behavior. And he said, oh, no. And let me tell you how I know. And he was head of US EF, I think at that time, or I can't remember which one it was. And he said, let me tell you why it's a silo. He said, people are leaving dressage and jumping and reining to come and do natural horsemanship. So it's become known as a discipline, whereas we never anticipated that.
Yeah. And I think what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot, a lot of horse trainers, riding instructors, they really go after that high-end competition client and they think, oh, I need, you know, 20 fancy clients. That's the best way to have a business. 20 ultra high net worth people or high net worth. And it's funny how many people go broke chasing the high net worth, ultra high net worth client. And even the ones that get them realize they're not really great clients in many ways. And to me, what it looks like you guys went after the average everyday rider, right? You didn't need to have, $1 million. You didn't need to have $100,000 horse. People in their backyards with their horse could still be involved with your programs. And it's funny how it seems like you did 25 million with just the average person. I mean, anyone involved horses maybe not average, but definitely a lower income on average than what you see the competition trainers going after.
Oh, absolutely. We wanted to make it accessible to people no matter where they lived or what they could afford. And so I don't know if we were the first, but we were certainly among the first to create a membership that went beyond a newsletter so that, we could service people on a regular basis. And we created DVDs at that time and
Yeah,
audio tapes and sent out things to them by mail, you know
right,
zine. It was really a fully formed thing that people could become part of. And so
right.
it gave them something to hold on to instead of just, it was a writing lesson. And we gave them goals. We created a program that had levels in it. And so now they had goals to get level 1, level 2, and then, up to level 4 and even professional. And we started training a lot of professionals to help students. So when I think back on it, I go, oh my God, I don't even know how we did all this. But it
Yeah,
takes a village, and we were spearheading it and had incredible people supporting us. And the world got behind us in terms of the
yeah.
rider. And I got the figures wrong. It was about 20 mil, but we had 25,000 members at our peak.
Okay.
And
And
that
was that your core revenue? Was the online membership? Was that like the core product? Was online membership? Because you guys were one of the first and really the best at really productizing what you do in a course, right? Where you can go at your own pace and theoretically, yeah, you can have it's not an extra hour that you have to teach a lesson to have an extra member. So you can have
leverage it.
you're the one of the first people to leverage
Yeah.
teaching.
Yeah.
And is that from your teaching background? Like, what was everybody's role? Who were the key players? Who was your CEO? And really, because what I like, and everybody's probably heard of the Pirellis, and what I heard was that you were really behind the marketing, and it sounds like you were really involved with breaking things into chunks and teaching it. Like you understood the system, but maybe it wasn't really packaged that clearly and you were the one that created that curriculum and broke it up and did the marketing, or what was your role in the business? What was Pat's, and really what was the CEO, or who were the key players, and how did you build a team? Because how many employees did you guys have at your peak?
Gosh, I don't, I don't know, because we had the office crew, and then we also had our um, training centers, and so we would have quite a number of people on those seasonally, and I don't know, probably 30, 40 people.
Okay, so yeah, you obviously can build a team, run a team. Talk to me about how you put together a team and what was your role in all of that.
It was one of those, if you build it, they will come kind of things, because we were not good at business. And,
Well,
but
I
what
would I would question that.
I know it seems like we really were, but if I talk about the business administration, that was a weak point. But where we were
Like
very,
like how so? Like how is the business administration a weak point? Like give me an example.
we had no credentials, no background to that. And that's why we needed a CEO who could look at the finance and the budgeting and planning and all of that. We basically started doing clinics, and then when the clinics got really big, we started doing seminars where people didn't bring their horses. We'd have demonstration horses, with problems that then Pat would work with or I would work with, and teach through that as well as with our horses
That
and
was
different.
really that was really your marketing, right? Was like seminars and exhibitions. Because it was a little bit before social media, right? Or
Yeah, well before that.
yeah, so that's incredible to get that big without social media. When you really look at like the tools that we have today, the business owner has today, and then you look at somebody like you that got that big without social media. It
Yeah, a
makes
lot of it was word of mouth, and we advertised a bit, and we were on our
Yeah.
TV, you know. So there were things that were happening like that, but yeah, no social media.
What TV were you on?
RFD TV.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And yeah, and DVDs
Mm.
but I think it was really the exhibitions that
It was the exhibitions, and then word of mouth was huge
yeah.
because there's nothing like the converted, right? When people have a religious experience, they go out and want to tell everybody, good, bad, or indifferent. But there was enough good because some people think you're psycho. But then they start to see, the results that you're having with your horse that was a problem, and they go, oh my God, maybe I should look into this.
Yeah. So were you in charge of marketing or is that incorrect?
Yes, in the beginning I was. And then when Mark Weiler, who was our CEO, came on board, he started to build a team. And I led it at first, because of the certain way that I wanted the message to go out and make sure that, we were true to our culture that we were creating. Pat's was IP, although I started developing more of that in the later years. And then we just had a team that took care of the membership and took care of our transport. And, we had to go and deliver the message in the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was your marketing strategy when you were when you were running it?
This is totally informal. I had no marketing background. I was in education with a company in Australia called Elabache, a
Yeah.
company, and I became the education director of that. And they were very strong.
Skincare, right? Yeah.
Sorry?
Skincare? Was it
Yes,
skin? Yeah.
that was my background. I did that for 12 years. And so it was a very education-based marketing approach that they had, and they were brilliant at it. And so I was raised through that, and I just basically applied the same thing. And it was a very personalized messaging. It wasn't just the, regular ads of, just regular ads. It was more relationship-based marketing, where people could identify with what I had been through because, I was not Linda Parelli at that time. I was suffering with difficult horses and learning how to overcome all those problems. And so we used a lot of testimonial driven uh, marketing. And then we basically, just empowered our customers and they shared the message more than we did.
Yeah. Yeah. So how important was it to have the structure where you guys had like ambassadors, right? Because you could come in and still today, right? You come in and you get certified and become an ambassador, right? So that's
And
another way to compound the message and get that leverage, right? People would come and stay with you guys, or how often were you guys on the road? And how often,
constantly. We were on the road a lot. We would put on 30 to 50 events a year. So we basically spent well, most of our time on the road. And then there was one time even when we were teaching at our center, we would teach during the week and then we get on a private jet to go and put on a show somewhere for 2,000 people. And then we'd be back Sunday night and teaching again on Monday. So we couldn't even do it, by doing domestic. So it's kind of like all these things just happened because of necessity. And our horses would be shipped out a few days in advance. They'd drive them out to the venue, wherever it was, and we'd arrive, get everything together. And then the show went on Saturday, Sunday. Sunday, we were in a plane back and teaching again Monday. It was nuts, but it was,
yeah,
but it was exciting. And, it was not just around the USA. We were also in Europe quite a bit. We went to Australia, New Zealand, and then quite a few countries in Europe and England.
yeah,
But
wow,
a lot of demand, people were saying, what's it going to take to bring you here?
yeah, that's amazing.
A little
That's
bit, people said this a lot and I always, didn't believe it. But looking back, I can see it now. They said you two were like rock stars. It was
yeah,
like going to one of your events was like going to a rock concert because
yeah,
we did a lot of entertainment as well as education. So it was heady days. It was really fun and um, exciting.
yeah. So what advice, I mean, people are tuning in, trying to reverse engineer success like that? Like what are the pillars and fundamentals that looking back might still hold true today, and advice you have on getting that kind of leverage, creating that kind of movement, having, that sort of, yeah.
I'm
Is
in
it
the same
pure
boat.
luck, or is there some, looking back, are there like some nuggets that we can all glean and incorporate into our businesses?
I'm sure there is. When I think about it, um, like I said earlier, it was right time, right place, right message. And we
Product
founded,
market fit, they would call that, right?
right. So we founded a movement and a industry sector that did not exist, and now it's big. If you go to Equitana in Germany, they have a whole hall that is dedicated to natural horsemanship. So that really caught on. It gave people something to champion. Um, and where are we now? What is the next big movement? I mean, that's what I keep thinking about. Um, and I don't know. I, I've I've done the next level in my mind from what we did in Pirelli, where I've created more of a horse training curriculum instead of a people training curriculum. So, and with my experience now, because when Pat and I split, I was thinking, like, first of all, I don't want to create another empire. I was 62. It's like I'm not going to start that again. And um, I just thought, what I already was part of a program that was really good. It was the best in the world at the time. And what am I going to do? And then I realized that when I was out teaching, I was fixing all the holes that that program didn't address. And so then I constructed a program that was more about horse training and horse behavior and very much centric to that, which I think is a big message today also because of the animal welfare um, spotlight. There's a lot of pressure around that for people to clean up their act with horses and animals in general, which I mean, I've always been for. And so it connects very well with that movement, where that's getting stronger and stronger. And to me, it's taken what I learned in natural horsemanship to a whole new level for training horses that really does apply to every discipline. So I don't even call myself natural horsemanship. I'm behavior-based training, horse psychology. Oh, I can't hear you. Okay.
Thank you. And can you make me host again, Farah? Um, so you were explaining the nuances. So you and Pat split 2020, and the business, and then he continued on with that business,
Right.
and then you had to start off on your own again.
Yes.
Pretty much, my understanding, pretty much like at ground zero almost.
The
So
only part that wasn't ground zero is that I had obviously a lot of followers that, who were more attached to me than Pat. So of course they came with me.
yeah,
That was a nice leg up.
right. Right. So you still had, yeah, you had a big network and a big following, but you didn't leave with any of the assets of the business.
No,
You had to, so in that way, you
cannot, Mhm.
said,
I cannot use any of it, which was a blessing in disguise because it made me think with blue sky, that I can't do what I did. How can I be unique? How can I take it to the next level? So, like I said, blessing in disguise, made
yeah,
made me
yeah.
really think.
What advice do you have to somebody? I mean, like, I think yours is like a very dramatic version of that, massive success, massive growth, $25 million business, and then starting fresh and clean again at 62. So what advice, I mean, but on a smaller scale, I hear that story a lot of people that
Sure.
they're like, you know what, I had a really good year, everything was going great, and then for some reason or another, I got sick, we moved, the facility owner, kicked me out, and I'm back at square one again after. And so what advice do you have for, I mean, you sound great now, but I'm sure there were some tough days to rebuild, and now you've got Happy Horse, Happy Life, right? So you've rebranded, you've got something all on your own now, and doing it all again your way. But what advice do you have for somebody that's like back at square one again?
I think the first thing is to realize it's not the end of the world because you think it is, you know. It's like, that's it, how do I ever recover from this? What am I going to do, especially at my age? And you have to really knock those thoughts out of your head because you just go down a spiral. So
Yeah,
I have a pretty big background in personal growth, personal development. That's been a very strong guiding force and value for me. And I've been involved in that since my 20s. And I brought a lot of that into the Parelli teaching as well. And I've done even more of it in what I do now because we need that. We need to know how to overcome things in our own mental barriers and learn a lot of skills that make us successful. Because you can't just go, well, you speak well, so you're going to be successful. It's like, no, there's a lot of other pieces. So I think the first thing is to just go, okay, here's where I am, write it down, go, what do I want to do? You know, I had the opportunity to retire. I could have retired. And I went, but I wouldn't be happy. You
yeah.
know,
What are you gonna do? Yeah,
it's still my mission to make a difference. And so unless I'm doing that, I'm not going to get up every day out of bed and be excited. And I want to live like that. I want to have that. So I think being able to set goals that really keep you moving forward and be ready to change them. Because sometimes you set this big goal and then you go, oh, on the way, I decided that's not what I really want, or it's not possible, or I've figured out something else. And it helps you keep moving forward. If you don't have goals or goals that are big enough, you don't get excited enough. It's like you can procrastinate and do whatever. And
yeah,
then the other thing is, to me, partnership. I'm not a lone wolf. I I'm a very good supporter. I mean, that was my role with Pat, and I was very comfortable in that. And it was actually difficult for me to become Linda Parelli and, step up and own the stage like that. I was always much more comfortable behind the star. And so that was a big education for me. And then when I started with my new business, I partnered with some friends and a marketing and business expert that I worked with during Pirelli days as a consultant. And Andrew Wood and his wife Sue, I called them as soon as I knew, I needed to do the next thing. And I said, do you want to go in business together? Because I can't think of anybody I'd rather do it with. And they were like, yes, we're in. And so I partnered with people who are very strong in the things that I'm not strong in. And I think that's important. It's, especially if you're not good as a lone wolf. And if you are good as a lone wolf, I think you still need people who can support you. And that's what you do, right? You're playing that role for people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We are trying to be, yeah, the business expertise,
yeah.
and combined with people that have real horse knowledge to, find the business opportunities.
Yeah, great.
What is your take on, like, something I've been thinking about a lot is like when I see somebody that's going through a really hard time, or I see somebody that or even people that have massive success, I wonder, like, I remind myself of like the relationship between how you feel and what you have. And it's not always it's right. Like, we know you achieve that huge success. Do you all of a sudden feel satisfied, feel great, right? A lot of people achieve that success, feel worse, right? And so I wonder, like, and then I see people, like, I imagine people that are like getting canceled, or You know what I mean? Like it looks like their whole world is falling apart. But then I wonder, like, but theoretically, like they could actually be happy. Like there is, we get to choose our reaction, right? To different things. So I'm just interested in your take on the relationship between, because yeah, I'm like, oh, I want to be successful. I want to have a big business. I want to have this. I want to have this ribbon, and then you wonder, but like, would that really make me happy? And then the reverse is true. Like, how much do you how correlated is what we have to how we feel?
I think it's critical. If I think about um, how Pat and I started and then where we peaked, I never felt different in myself. I was always driven by the same things. I wasn't driven by success. I was driven by making a difference. And success came because of that. I never thought about having a big business. I never thought about financial goals. They all evolved because of the because of what we did and because of the people that were around us. And even when I had to walk away from all of that, and it wasn't still that size when I walked away from it, but still, it was a very nice lifestyle, and I never had to think about anything except
Yeah,
what I do. And so when I found myself in that situation, I mean, everybody goes through it. We go, oh my God, that's the end of my life. What do I do now? But as soon as you get over that shock, and don't stay there long. Yes, you're shocked. Okay, now sit down with a pen and paper and go, where am I? What do I want to do? Who do I need to talk to? And start making plans for how to get ahead. So I think it's very much what you focus on. And, I did an exercise many years ago to establish my core values because, as you get older, you start thinking, wow, what is causing me to make decisions in one way versus another way? Um, and what is it that attracts me to certain people or certain businesses? And anyway, so I did an exercise on core values and I realized I have four main core values that I boiled it down to. It's personal growth, um, making a difference, health, and loyalty. They're my four things. And every single thing I do, I run through that filter. And if it doesn't resonate with that, then I know it's not going to be something that fulfills me and helps me keep developing to become the best person I can be. So, life has its ups and downs, and I've had some pretty good ones, in my 60 something years. And I think your attitude is critical to that. And nobody can change that for you. You have to work on it and you have to, make sure you wake up every day ready to take the bull by the horns and go
yeah, yeah.
what you love.
What are you doing right now to grow personally? Like what things are you doing to fulfill that value?
I work every day on that, every day. I start my morning with podcasts. So I listen to things that fuel me
What are
because
you listening to right now?
there's a few different ones that I listen to. I listen to some in the world of health. Um, and I don't eat animals, so I listen to plant-based podcasts like Plant Strong, and I also listen to motivational ones, on business or marketing or just personal growth, like Diary of a CEO and
Yep.
um, Brian Wilkes. Terrible. I should have written these down so I could reel them off for you. But there's a few that I just really love to listen. I could look it up on my phone and tell you.
Yeah.
I do that.
So instead of like scrolling social media, you're
I don't
listening
do
to
that.
really quality content.
Yeah, I don't do social media. Thankfully, my team does, and occasionally I'll do something. But like the way forward, marketing made simple, School of Greatness, Maxwell um, Leadership Podcast, The Resilient Mind, Loosely Enlightened, Zoe Science and Nutrition. So it's all things like that.
Yeah.
I spend at least an hour, sometimes two, every morning, starting at about 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
listening to podcasts.
Listening to podcasts. Then
Yeah,
what?
teaching, I need something that fuels me and educates me and makes me think differently. Like many years ago, um, I was being interviewed by a magazine, and they said, "So, which horse people do you study?" And I said, "Well, at that time it was only Pat." But I said, I don't study inside the horse industry for what I need to do. I study outside of that. I study in the personal growth and the marketing and business areas because, um, we were kind of world leaders in a certain area. So trying to look at what other
Yeah,
people were doing was not serving us. And
right.
and then as teachers, we're constantly giving. Everything is output, whether you're teaching online or you're teaching physically. So I think it's really important to know what fuels you and how do you recharge your batteries, let alone keep them fueled. So I always try to stay ahead of that because knowing, I mean, people say to me now, it's like, oh my God, your schedule's crazy. It's like, this is nothing. I feel like I'm a little bit on vacation with what I used to do. But
What's like a normal day for you? So you listen to the podcast for an hour. Now it's 7 a.m.
Mhm.
It's only
So
7.
then
Yeah.
I have my own little happy horse haven here, and I have some riders that come and study with me, and I have some permanent students here too, resident students. And so the morning then is riding and training my own horses and coaching them. That's my morning. And then the afternoon is business. And I always make a good lunch because to me, nutrition is really important. I don't do fast food. I make, I tend to cook a lot myself and I've studied a lot, to try and be healthy and stay healthy. So I have a nice lunch and whether I'm by myself or with others at home. And then the afternoon basically looks like this
Yeah.
talking to my members. I'm creating new articles, products. I do videos. I do barn confidentials. I, take care of my members. And
Yeah.
then I do between 6 and 8 events a year. So that's clinics, and usually people host me and they bring me to, various parts of the US or England and Europe. And so this weekend I'll be in Washington, not too far from Seattle. And then in September, I'll be in Virginia and England, Germany, Austria. And
So
then
you
I'm,
still got the rock star lifestyle
yeah, I
going.
don't know if it's rock star. It's like, taxis in the sky now,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to, but I love what I do. And so when I'm teaching, that fuels me as well. I don't find it exhausting. I'm fascinated by
Yeah.
it.
So what are your business goals today, and what is kind of your business strategy now that, the landscape has changed? Like you said, you're trying to find the new opportunities, and it's a totally different world, right? Than
Very
when,
difficult. I
yeah,
think the biggest challenge right now is YouTube. Because, and I even do it, not for horse things, but if I want to know something, I'll just, you know, search on YouTube for things that I want. And, in the horse world, there are so many free videos of tips and tricks and things that you can do. And, some of them are good, but most people get really lost in that. And instead of doing a program where you take them from A to Z, they jump all over the map and nothing ever really gets, accomplished. And then not so much in my market, but a lot of people live in the world of the disposable horse. Oh, this horse is no good, get another one. Now, fair enough, if it's not talented enough to go to the big league, but most horses are passed on because of so-called behavioral problems, which are really just miscommunications. Oh, am I?
I just spotlighted you. Um,
Oh, okay, because I just suddenly
yeah,
went big on my screen. I'm
yeah,
like,
I'm
what
still
happened?
here. Yeah, I just spotlighted
Right.
you.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So, I can't remember what I was saying now.
well, I was asking for your current business goals and your current business strategy, and you were saying
Oh, yeah.
YouTube is a challenge for you because people are like, well, why am I going to join a membership? I'll just watch it for free on YouTube, which is really stupid because what's valuable is somebody that is going to show you the video that you need to watch today for you and your horse, not, that's kind of where I see, and I think you understand this because it sounds like you really laid things out, is some people and some of the competitors in the online space are like, get 5,000 videos for $10. And I'm like, at first I'm like, oh, that's incredible value. But then the experience of it, you're like, there's no way I can watch 5,000 videos. And to be honest, I'm probably better off just riding my horse. Like the
Mhm.
video content's gonna be pretty good if you're like, gonna watch 100 hours, right? Because there's an opportunity cost there. Like I don't have that much time. So what's really valuable, what I think is valuable is if somebody, where I'd be like, look, let's pay 5 grand to have somebody like personally curate, Brian, here are like the 8 videos that you really need to watch based on you, and actually like, watch this one and actually implement it. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
I'm looking to save time. I'm not looking to get access to, 500 hours of content. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, that sounds terrible
Right,
because that's 500 hours of my time, uh,
exactly.
like
And
put it in
even
pill form.
what I've created in my curriculum is that everything that, took me this long before, I've made this long. So
Right.
I've really learned how to drill things down and be much more simple and to the point and give people techniques that really work. And then I think what's really important is that people get very problem solution oriented. It's like, oh, I have this problem, I want to know how to fix it. Well, you can do various techniques and tricks to so-called fix that behavior, but it doesn't go away because until you solve it at the root. And does that mean it's a lack of connection with you? Is it a relaxation problem with the horse? Is it that it doesn't understand what you're saying? Is it lacking confidence? If you don't know the root of your horse's problem, you'll never fix it. So I don't buy into that, give me a little tip and trick thing. It's like, if you go with me, I'm going to teach you how to be really good with horses. I'm going to teach you how to read horses. I'm going to teach you how to be independent. And then, I want to make me obsolete. But if you come to me, then I want to be able to advance you, not help you solve problems that you could do online with what I share with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Tina is asking, do you have short-term training options? Tina runs her own horseback riding school. And yeah, kind of like I was saying, like nobody really has, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people feel like that, they don't have as much time as they wish they did to invest in stuff like that. What sort of short-term training do you offer people like Tina?
I think the first thing is the online training because you can do that at your own pace. And in there are a lot of things that you might learn at a seminar or in a lecture that you would never learn in a one-on-one lesson. So I think, first of all, that's important. And also, when you're sitting on a horse or you have a horse in your hand, your brain's already almost full. And now, when people try to learn in that situation, it's much more challenging. So I really believe in the model of theory, demonstration, simulation, and then action, where you do it yourself, practical application. And I use that formula, which to me is very successful for people. So that's the first thing is the curriculum. Then I do clinics in different places, but here at my place, it's very small compared to what we did at the Parelli Center in those days. But I will just take a handful of very seriously motivated students, and they come to me for 1 week up to a month. And then I have internships that are a year. And then I also have like protege and residential programs. But that's all quite limited. But 1 week is the least I will do with a student, but I get to choose. I don't do weekly lessons except for my mastermind group. I'll do 2 lessons a month with them, and that's part of the program that I offer them. So there's really a good menu of options, depending on how serious people are and how much time they have to invest.
Yeah. So it's a hybrid. The membership is a hybrid where you get some physical in-person lessons
Mhm.
and some online learning
Yes.
for the people. Okay.
And then I have instructors too. So a lot of my members will have lessons with my instructors, either in person at clinics or virtually.
Yeah. Okay. So you've scaled that way a little bit still with Happy Horse, Happy Life. There's Happy Horse, Happy Life
Right.
ambassadors that you can take a lesson with as well.
Yes.
People that, yeah. So that's a really great
I
way.
wasn't going to do it. It's like I said earlier, I was like, I can't recreate this empire. I know what it
But
takes.
you are. It sounds like you are.
I am, thanks to my business partners. But Andrew said to me, when are you starting an instructor program? This is a few years ago, and I said, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do that. And he said, people are begging you. Why would you not do it? I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
And anyway, so my instructors are amazing, and most of them I know from the old Parelli days, obviously, and I had trained them in the past. And so adapting them to my new curriculum and my new approach was relatively easy.
Yeah.
And I love helping other people be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mackenzie's asking if you learned how to get 25,000 members at one point, how many members do you have now? And do you still feel that a membership structure is the way to go? And I guess I would add to that, like, what changes have you made I'm always interested in the exact offer, meaning, you know, it's like what I'm hearing, like there's a hybrid, it sounds like you have a lot of different options that really like online only, some online, some in person, or an in-person intensive or a clinic. So, but do you still feel like the membership model is really the right structure?
Well, the great thing about a membership is leverage, because when you're teaching one-on-one, it's a one-to-one ratio. But now I have a 1 to 1,000 or 1 to X number of thousand people. Um, so at this point, I still think that that's really valuable. I think the biggest obstacle that we deal with is people's aversion to learning, because a lot of people, like horses, are damaged learners. They've been in the hands of some very rough instructors, or they were damaged at school, even, in their early years. And learning just meant pressure, and you were put on the spot, and it was embarrassing, and you felt stupid. And so I worked a lot in the education area before I even met Pat. And I studied with a woman by the name of Dr. Stephanie Burns, who's brilliant. And she really helped shape me as a teacher and as an educator. And she said, this is not about, everybody thinks their information is important, but in fact, what's really important is giving people the confidence to learn.
Yeah. So about that, because one of the big challenges any course creator makes, like you said, information can be fantastic, but it's always depressing. And even in my own courses, when I go in and I look, how much of this course that somebody paid good money for did they actually watch, right? And if when you go in, you know, like you're saying, a big challenge is, yeah, you can get a member and they can buy it and they can get all the information, but a lot of people don't even watch the courses they buy at all. Like,
True.
or they watch the first video and then they're distracted and they're gone. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
And
what
I
strategy
think
you have to engage your clients and try to build the kind of courses that have higher consumption rates.
I think so, but it's a little bit of the, $64 million question. Like, how do you do that? Because that power is in the hands of the student. So some students will never be motivated enough, to be that dedicated as a learner. Like, I'm a voracious learner, and I'm a very confident learner. And I had to discover that most people are not like me. Learning is difficult and confronting, and you feel stupid. And how do you get through that to then want the information? So, even in the Pirelli heyday, the churn was big. Churn of members coming in, going out. And then there's always this core of people who are really your super learners or your super followers, your super students, who really, really want this. And it doesn't matter how high their goals are. It's just the fact that they want to be good with horses and be successful, and they want their horses to be happy. That's my niche. And so
Right.
a lot of it is really fostering that philosophy, and propelling the movement that I was part of starting so many years ago, 30 years, 30, 35 years ago. I'm still on that mission. And I think if I was just teaching, like going out and doing lessons or even running little mini courses at my place, I would not feel fulfilled because I need to give people goals, I need to nurture them, and I need to make a difference. And if people don't get results, then I beat up on myself. I don't beat up on them. So it's really, the right people will find you, but you've got to know what your message is and, what are they going to get when they're with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we're all about the results and they don't really care about the results. They want to feel good about their horse, or they want their horse to love them, or they want to stop getting hurt. They're not really highly ambitious people. So we think, they want results like I do, but actually they don't. They want these other things. So really knowing what your student and customer wants, I mean, that's marketing 101, isn't it?
Right.
What do people,
Right.
some people don't know. They go, I want
Yeah.
to be happy. I want to be a better rider. It's like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah. But maybe that was what's so addictive about the Pirelli system. And I think what people look for in sports, like because life is so ambiguous, where it's like, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? Like, you know what I mean? Am I a good husband, medium husband? Am I like like we don't know where we are. And I think that's why people like sports because of the certainty. Like they're like, oh, I was third place. Like they
Mhm.
just want to know, like have some aspect of their life where like this is where you are. And I think that's part of the Pirelli system is there was that roadmap where you know exactly where you are and you know exactly what the next step is. And it sounded very goal oriented, where you do this and this is the exact path, and then then you're certified, and there's different levels to it, so that like a non-goal oriented, yeah, because if you're just flailing around in your backyard with your horse and then all of a sudden you find this program that gives you step by step and gives you a goal, right?
Yeah.
So is your program still like that, or is it still more
Yeah.
like you set your own goal, or are there kind of milestones that
Yes.
people are trying to hit?
Yes. First of all, one of the things that I realized is that, um, I mean, obviously my um, the name of my business kind of implies the benefit, happy horse, happy life. And so the first thing I needed to teach people is how do you know if you
That's
want
like a play on like happy wife, happy life, right?
to? Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, the first thing you have to know if you want a happy horse, what does happy look like? And people have no idea. It's like, that period in equestrian sports where they were talking about the happy athlete. Well, how do you know the athlete is happy? How do you know when a
That's the hardest thing with horses is I think they're very difficult animals to read, right? Like a dog, and like the fact also that horses can't say ow. Like if you step on my dog's tail, like she's gonna scream bloody murder and let you know she's in pain. But horses don't scream. They don't, you know what I mean? Like they could be in incredible pain, not make a sound. Like what other animal doesn't make a sound when they're in, pain, like
yeah,
incredible pain? I think I can't think of any other animal that doesn't.
yeah, I know. And I think that's,
And so when you're like, my goal is to make my horse happy, you're right.
what does that look like?
Like how do we know that?
Yeah. And what does an unhappy horse look like? And I realized that was a big missing piece. And I find horses really easy to read because, I mean, that's my profession.
That's what you do, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, you got to admit, like compared to other animals,
Yeah, for
they're
sure.
they're very difficult. Like in the scheme of animals, like to their
Yeah.
ear, their ears are forward, their ears are back. I mean, there's other things, but like they're not that expressive. Well, maybe
Yeah.
they are. Maybe that's just what you're saying. Like they are, but
We don't know how to read it.
you've got to be trained.
A lot of people say to me, "Oh, I wish my horse could talk." And I go, "No, you don't." Like, you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear a lot of what they got to say. But in fact, they are talking to you. But they
Right,
use energy and gestures, and it's like sign language. We're verbal creatures, and so we put a lot of um, emphasis on words and tone,
right,
whereas
right.
horses put it on energy and how you show up and how you communicate with your energy. And I'm not being woo-woo about this. I'm talking about if you're stressed, if you're unconfident, if you're fearful, if you're angry or you're excited, a horse cannot tell the difference. They just go, that energy is weird. It's not this nice, calm energy. It's like something's going on and I can't depend on you and you're probably the problem. And so, for the most part, people are very disconnected from their own energy. They don't even know how they're coming across. And so, a lot of what I teach is how to change that, how to find the right energy for your horse, how to master and match that, as well as read your horse and then know what they're saying. And then I'd say the biggest thing that I teach now is how to have conversations with horses, because most of the time, people say, "Oh, you're doing positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement." Like, I don't know. I do all of them really in some way. But what I'm interested in is not just telling horses what to do. I want to ask them a question and see how they answer me. You know, do you want to do whatever it is? Do you want to go with me over here? The horse goes, no, and tries to pull away. You go, wow, why did that happen? And people go, he's disobedient. I got to fix that. Instead of going, why did my horse want to leave me? What did I do that made that response, that caused that response? And now when I know what I did, I can change that. And all of a sudden the horse doesn't want to leave me, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
most of the time, we don't know what horses are saying. And that's my mastery is I want to teach people how to really understand horses, how to read them, and then how to have productive conversations. And the problem with the natural horsemanship movement is it's basically known as just recreational and
Yeah.
not competitive, which is not really accurate because there's a lot of people who do use those principles and compete. But I what I saw was a real missing piece was delving into reading horses and understanding horses and training horses. So what I've made is a horse training program from the ground up, from the basic areas up to as advanced as you want to get. But I don't teach the purposes, so I prepare you for then whatever discipline you want to do. And if you have problems, so-called behavioral problems with your horse while trying to do dressage or jumping or whatever, then you can come back to my program and go, here's the root of the problem. I'm going to fix that. And now you can go on with your sport. So it's not another silo. It's really a behavior-based training model where you can learn how to read your horse, have conversations, train your horse, fix problems, and do what you want to do with the professionals who specialize in that sport.
Yeah. How do you recommend that people go about learning about riding and horses? Because I almost look at them as like two different things, riding instruction and horse training, where a lot of my clients offer riding instruction. And to me, like the basic premise of it is let me put you on a horse. Like obviously there's a spectrum, but just to simplify it, like this horse is trained, right? This is an older horse that's trained. You just have to worry about you. Like you're just trying to not fall off and just learn riding instruction because like the question is can you do this on a trained horse, right? And then I think it opens up horse training once you've gone through basic riding instruction really you know what I mean, like riding. And I think in this country you get a lot of people that never really get into horse training. And I think I would fall in that category, like read my whole life, but growing up here in competition barns, I mean, we're looking for horses that are already doing their job. And the question is, will they still do their job with me riding them, right? Versus at a certain point, some people are like, let me train an animal from scratch, from the ground up, right? From like the breeding farm. And it's like, to me, it's almost two different things, like riding instruction and horse training. How do you look at those two things? And if you're advising somebody that's just starting to learn, when do you suggest they start learning about actual horse training versus just let's focus on posting the trot? You know what I mean?
To me, that's number one.
Yeah, horse training.
The grand illusion is that we're just riders, but we are trainers, whether we know it or not. And we're
Right.
either training the horse to do good things or training the horse to do bad things. The horse was fine till we showed up. So, Charles de Comfy had a great line. He said, either you are improving him or you are killing him. So a lot of us are under the illusion that we can just get on a horse and go ride. I just want to go on trail rides. I just want to have fun. I just want to get on a horse and go around a hunter ring, and not have it refuse. It's like, That's a Stepford horse. That's a machine. And if it does exist, the horse is a robot and it's worth a lot of money and it's going to go until it doesn't. But, you know, for most people, A, you don't have that money, and B, you don't want to do that. You want to have a relationship with a horse. At least the people who follow what I do, we love horses, and, for some reason we're strangely drawn to them, and we sacrifice everything in our lives to have these amazing animals, in our backyard, preferably. But nobody ever said you have to be your horse's friend, teacher, leader, rider, trainer. No, it's just like get on and kick to go and pull to stop. And if your horse has problems, send him to the trainer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change you. So the horse can go great with the trainer and come back to you, and it's not going to be long before the horse goes, I just can't deal with you anymore. And we don't know that. It's too easy to blame the horse. Oh, it's the horse, it's the horse. It's like, well, how come the horse is fine with me, but it's not with you? Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I think that's pretty humbling, but that's the niche I'm in. And I work with people at Olympic level who enjoy that, who want that. They don't want to just, get on and have a machine. And I recognize there are people who do want that. And I'm not judging it because it is what it is. That's the world. But what I do is not that. It's relationships with horses. It's really learning how to be good with horses and have your horse want to be with you and want to be ridden with you. So that kind of harks back to my personal growth stuff, is like, who do I have to become for my horse to go, are you going to pick me today? Not,
Yeah.
oh God, how long is this going to be? Okay, I'll put up with it for that long.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Well, any other last minute questions for Linda from the audience? It looks like there's about 40 people on here. Does
Nice.
anybody want to ask Linda a question? How do we find out about your programs now? And if people want to kind of explore the different membership options that you're offering now, like how do
Thank you
we?
for that question. Happyhorsehappylife.com. LindaParelli.com will also take you there, and it will show you everything that we do. So we have a membership, have a curriculum, and then I have live events and instructors, and I have a shop too. That always people always ask me what I'm wearing, so I always make things that people can get. So um,
Yeah, I was going to ask where I can get that.
yeah, it looks like your color, Brian. Yeah, so happyhorsehappylife.com, and my curriculum is called How to Talk Horse.
Got it. Awesome. Well, leave us with last minute. I'm going to spotlight you um, to ride on out of this interview, but leave us with some words of wisdom. Maybe bring it back to the business. My audience is people trying to. We wanted to study an icon in the business and somebody that's built this thing bigger than perhaps any other horse trainer. So what are some last minute business advice to horse business owners, riding school owners? What would you tell them, uh, kind of leave them with?
First of all, it's not easy. You know, People think that, and especially these days, with the way Instagram and TikTok and all those things go, everybody's shown, doing their best things, having the best day of their life. And you go, that's not normal. That's not what everyday life is like. So I think the first thing is to be prepared to work hard. And mostly horse people are, we're hard workers. I think it's really important to set goals that are aligned to your values. And I would say the number one thing that keeps me highly motivated is my mission to make a difference. And every day I get to see the results of that, that I see that I'm making a difference in people's lives, and in horses' lives. So to me, those are really important. Um, and then I think relationships is the other thing. Uh, you're not just a talking head. You're a living, breathing, feeling human being. And I think being able to share who you are, I mean, not your sob stories and things, who needs to know that? But to be real about your own failures or your own struggles as well as your successes are really important because then people can connect to that. It's very hard to connect to people that just look wildly successful and you think well, they're a machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Work hard and um, connect with your students and your audience, really put effort into that and mean it. You can't fake it. And then the third one is to surround yourself with the right people. And I'm very lucky to be surrounded by great business partners, great assistants at my barn and proteges, great instructors, and great members. I mean, my community is incredible, and I feel very blessed.
Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate it, Linda. I I think the most valuable thing you can give somebody is your time. So I really, really appreciate you giving me some of your time and sharing all of that wisdom with us. So have a great rest of your day and thank you again.
You're doing great work. Keep it up. Good luck, everybody.